Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. Greg Chris, joined by my partner in crime, Frank Fear, and we welcome you to another Wednesday evening show. Apologize for that dinging in the background. That's my glucose alarm, Frank, going off. That happens when you get old. You have to have stuff like that laying around.
Oh, wow.
Took me a shot right before the show started, though, so I should be good here in a few minutes. But anyway, welcome in, everybody. And Frank, as we say, a lot of weeks. We've got another great guest tonight. We can't wait to talk to this guy. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I tell you, DWAYNE Woods, it was, for me, it's sad. I left West Virginia University the year before, so I didn't get a chance to see Dwayne play live, but I followed his play, and boy, what a graceful runner. Tremendous contribution, straddles the Bobby Bowden era, and played for Frank Signetti his senior year, and we're just raring to go to talk to him in a few minutes.
Yep, and I have some memories of watching him play. I was young, but we had a reason to watch back then, being from where I'm from, and I'm going to talk to him about that here in just a few minutes. Not going to say anything about it now, but yeah. So I got the pleasure to see. Even though I was young, I watched intently, and well, back in that day, usually listened intently on the radio because we didn't always have the games televised. But when we did, I can guarantee you, we were watching him. Of course, the Peach Bowl win was something we all watched and remember vividly. So it's going to be fun. We're also in to Pitt week, and this is always the circle on the calendar, on the schedule, the game that we're looking forward to. And after last week's debacle, I think this is what we need. We need something to keep the fan base engaged, and hopefully we'll come out and have a good performance on Saturday.
Boy, are you was there a game last week? I think I missed that one, Greg.
Well,
Um,
certainly
actually, I
our
wished
game
I
was
had. But you and I have said for weeks, we're going to see what we're going to see, and trying to predict anything really is foolhardy because of the so many moving parts. But let me just say this: a couple of weeks ago, and some of the folks who are viewing may have seen the Army Tarleton State game.
yeah.
That's a tongue twister. Tarleton State from Texas. They're not even in the group of five. They're in the United Athletic Conference with Eastern Kentucky and I think West Georgia. I mean, it's a new conference. It's not in the group of five, and they went into Army and they beat them, and they beat them in overtime. Army, what do? You say to yourself,
Yeah.
my God, we have a great team, but we lose to a non-group of five team. They go out to Manhattan, Kansas State, and beat Kansas 24-21. So
Yep.
hope springs eternal
That's right.
as the Mountaineers get ready. I think they're like a 6.5 or 7.5 point dog. You got Rich Rod on your side, and you just reload and let's keep that defense playing reasonably well, and let's get the offense going. And who knows?
Yeah. Well, we talked all during the preseason. You know, you bring in that many. You bring in 80 new people, 80 new players, trying to get them to jail. Regardless of talent, it takes time, and it's just going to take these guys time. And you know, I don't. I said this on the post game show the other night. I don't think it's a lack of talent by any means. I just think it's just going to take time. I mean, you got all those new folks learn to play together and that sort of thing. And people can say, well, there's no such thing as team chemistry and that sort of thing. But as a former basketball coach, I can tell you, I truly believe there is. I think the more they play together, the more they know what the other guy's going to do, and they're going to get better and better. And a lot of the mistakes they made on the offense and the offensive line are fixable. They're correctable. The only thing that worries you a little bit is the ability to move the defensive line anywhere. We didn't show any of that during the game, so that's a little bit worrisome. But I was watching and saw some clips of some different things that happened on the offensive line, and there was one instance there, and there was a still photo of it. I looked at on one of the websites the other night. It had the um, quarterback, Marco, was in the pocket, and he had three offensive linemen dead in front of him, and there was nobody there to block. And there was a defensive end coming off the side um, behind them, untouched to the quarterback. And that's something that they can look at in film and say, hey, this is your responsibility. Somebody got to block this guy. And so those type of things I think can be fixed. You hope so anyway. And but you have to have faith in the coaching staff that they are going to start correcting those things. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's just going to take time, and people just have to be patient. And I'm sure there's already some of these keyboard warriors out there, keyboard fans wanting to fire everybody up there and start over, which I'm not sure what good that would do. Which is what I said last year. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think any of them forgot how to coach football. I think they know what they're doing, and you gotta have faith. And I think they'll. They may not win Saturday, but I definitely think we'll see a better performance without a doubt.
Well, that's what we not only hoping for, but what we want.
Yeah.
At this point, it's being able to play a competitive game from beginning to end. And we've got to remember that Ohio did not score in the second half. It really was a function of our offense not taking advantage of turnovers, not being able to after that first touchdown. I mean, 2 plays, 66 yards, a touchdown. After that, it was really very tough sledding, and it was the offensive line, as you said. So big game, sold out, tremendous amount of enthusiasm. All bodies are going to Morgantown, and we're just going to have to see. It's a work in progress.
Yep, absolutely, and like you said, the defense played good enough. Again, we talked about this. They played good enough to win. Especially in the second half, they played very well in the second half. Just couldn't get anything going offensively, and it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to see. And I know people make adjustments and that sort of thing, but we went right down the field and scored that first possession, and then did absolutely nothing after that. And after telling stat after those 3 interceptions on those next 3 possessions, we tallied a total of minus 6 yards, and so that right there tells the story. And hopefully we can get that fixed. And now we got some injuries to deal with, so the next person got to step up. And we've heard all along that we have good running backs in the running back room. So hopefully some of those guys can they get their chance now. So, and we'll be talking to a former running back, so maybe he can guide us a little bit in what to expect there. So and you was talking about people going to the game. We got another person going to the game, he says, and that's Mickey Plumley, our other partner in crime. And Mickey's patiently waiting backstage. So Mick, we'll bring him on in and get his thoughts a little bit on this. Mick, I know you watched the game as well. We talked about it. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think you guys pretty well covered it so far. I think the big turning point in the whole game for me was the play of the offensive line. Of course, having played on the offensive line myself, I would say something like that. It just takes time for that unit to gel. They really have to play as a unit. It's not 5 individuals out there. They have to play together as one unit, one person. And it just takes time for that sort of camaraderie and learning what your teammate's going to be doing. It takes time for those things to sort of develop. Don't forget, guys, Rich Rod's first run here back in the early 2000s, he went 3-8 his first year.
Yep.
And it takes a while to build a program, as successful as talking about then and now. The team I played on the '69 Peach Bowl team, our first year we went 3-5-2, and the second year we went 7-3, and then capped it off with the 10-1 senior year. So it takes a while to get the program in, to get everybody to buy in to the culture. I know there's a lot of coaches speak about that, but all those things are important. I've decided to rip the rear view mirror off of this car and not look backwards. We're going to look forward, learn what we can from our past mistakes. But it being Pitt week, there's an added element here in that backyard brawl, that rivalry. Been a lot of strange things happen, in the past, unfortunately, uh, with that 13-9 debacle. We entered that game as 28.5 point favorites and didn't quite turn out that way. So on any given Saturday, anyone can beat anyone in my estimation. So I wouldn't count the Mountaineers out yet. We have a ways to go in developing play as a team, and we got to take the next man up philosophy here. And yeah, we've lost a couple of key performers, but now we have a chance for some new, younger players to step up and show what they have. So don't count the Mounties out yet.
And again, Mickey might be able to comment more on this definitely than me, but a lot of people lose sight of the fact too when they're talking about the offensive line, for example, how sophisticated this game is and has gotten. And it's not as easy as you get up there and block this guy and don't let him come in, because the defensive line, they're running stunts, they're doing different things, they're sending people from different angles, different spots, and they have to make their calls and they have to be on the same page, who's blocking who and so forth and so on. It's pretty sophisticated, and I think that's probably more of the problem than talent. I think it's just again playing together and figuring out who's got what responsibilities, and I think that's the big problem, not so much talent.
Agreed, 100%, Greg. And I'd like to think, based on their performance the first two games, the defense is going to be able to keep us hanging in there in a number of situations. I think the defense has played very well so far. Pitched a couple of shutouts in the first two games in the second half, and they're giving up an average of 10 points per game. The quality of the competition, may be somewhat not what it's going to be in the Big 12, but you learn as you grow. I think our Zach's doing a great job as our new defensive coordinator, particularly in making halftime adjustments. And if the defense plays well and the other team doesn't score, you're at least going to get a tie.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, that's right. That's right, and it gives you a chance. It gives you a shot.
That's right.
Frank, I'm going to bring you back in here just for a second. I want to see how. Bring Dwayne on in and do that later in the show, or how would you like to do that? Go ahead and do that and let Mickey go.
Because of the running back room is down a bit. So this is preseason practice for him. So let's bring him in. Let's bring him in right now, and then he can stay with us when we talk about the Pitt game, because he played, I think, at least 3 Pitt games, right, Dwaye? Let's bring him in. There he is.
Well, hello, Mountaineers. That's right. You're right. Okay.
Bluefield. He played at Bluefield, All-Stater there, of course, All-American actually in high school, All-American. And went on WVU, had a stellar career at WVU, over 2,000 yards, and of course played on the Peach Bowl championship team in '75, and amongst a bunch of other things. We don't want to take all that time, but Dwayne, welcome to the show. So good to see you and to meet you. We look at West Virginia. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about the show tonight and thinking about your career. And you look at, you hear about like Penn State, for example, being linebacker university or linebacker U, whatever they call it.
Yes.
I'm not so sure that West Virginia couldn't be tabbed running back U. When you look, starting before you and then you and all up through those years, and then, the later 90s and 2000s, we've had just a unbelievable run of running backs up there. You yourself included. Uh,
Right.
is there something to that? I mean, is that just me being a homer?
Well, back then there wasn't so much passing. We ran the ball. We had a fullback that would block, a good blocker, which I thought that they could have used last week.
Yep.
Actually, the linebackers were confusing the quarterback because the linebackers were loose to get deep drops and was really guarding the underneath passes for the wide receivers. And if West Virginia would have had a nice big running back in there, a fullback, last week, I think that the game would have changed some because it did appear that the linemen were getting knocked back some. But I really missed that two elements of Rich Rodriguez's game is a big back to guard the open blitzing linebacker, and he also missed that Tavon Austin style of player that can get out in the flat and go. Now Gallagher plays that role, and he's great. He's good at it, but there was some. The quarterback didn't have enough time. It's not the quarterback's fault. He's not a bad quarterback. It's just that he didn't have enough time, and there wasn't that third or fourth element of offense that was missing. That of course I'm living here in Columbus, and the fullback. I'm not even going to say his name's over here playing in Columbus. They should be playing in Morgantown. So
Agreed.
that
Agreed.
that if you take away some elements of Rich Rodriguez's offense, because it's just too bad. Then that team got some good calls also in the game. Y'all haven't mentioned that yet. They seemed like every call went against West Virginia to me.
I think I've gotten used to that. I used to think it was just me, but the more I watch, and again, I was looking through these clips of the game and videos, and I saw this one picture of um, Vaughn on the sideline when that catch on the 2 yard line,
Hmm.
and they had a still photo of it with his knee on the ground, the ball in his hands, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't know how anyone could say no, that's not a catch. you know, I didn't understand that, uh, but anyway, aside from that, we played poorly and didn't win. Dwayne, I want to ask you about some of the players you played with, but one in particular. But looking back on that Peach Bowl in '75, I always and I've told this story on here before that that game. My father passed away in 1977. He had ALS, had Lou Gehrig's disease, and in '75 he was already pretty much confined to a wheelchair in '75. But we had a local guy playing on the team, and his father and my father were friends, and they made arrangements to take him to Atlanta to the game, and so he got to see the Peach Bowl, and it was a really a thrill for him. And I always was so grateful for that, and that's why that game always stuck out in my mind so much. As the last time he got to go to a game, and you guys pulled it off. But Tom Pridemore was the player, and Tom was from my hometown, and his dad arranged the tickets and the transportation and everything to get him to the game. So I always remember that. So I was just curious to know how well you know Tom Pridemore and if you're still in contact.
Tom Pridemore was made out of granite. he was a
Yeah, he
hard
was.
he was a hard player at in the position that he was playing on defense. He was quick. He was good. He played for Atlanta in the pros for about 8 years, wasn't it?
Yeah,
If you could play in the pros for 8 years, you're a good player.
yeah, yeah,
Every year your job was on the line. I went down to Tampa Bay, and when I left Morgantown for what amounted to just a tryout, basically. And it's just your job is being challenged every play, every down, and if you can last for 8 years, you're good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We were always happy and surprised that he was able to do that. But of course, I watched him in high school and just a phenomenal player and uh, then at WVU, and that's why I said we paid attention to a lot of the games because we listened intently on the radio, and when it was on TV, we absolutely watched. Looking back on your time at WVU, first of all, let's talk about you were in Bluefield. So was it was it just understood or a thing you knew that you're going to be a Mountaineer? Was that what it was, or did you get was the recruiting process part of it, or and convinced you, or how'd it go?
Oh, let me tell you how it goes. In high school, when you're in, I made All-State as a junior, and I began to get thousands of letters. It seemed like, I mean, just letters after letters from different schools. Some schools I never even heard of. They would send you a scholarship in the mail. They would call you, and back in those days, the rules were that a college recruit couldn't talk to a player until 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock on the dot, that phone rang, and it rang all the way until 8 o'clock. It was that 2 hour period, and you just talked to different coaches. I talked to Woody Hayes. I talked to uh, up at Syracuse, which my daddy wanted me to go to Syracuse, and he just was going to just insist it. Floyd Schwartzwalder, Missouri, everybody called. Ohio State called. Everybody called. Everybody but Virginia Tech. I never heard from Virginia Tech. I still can't figure out why, but it,
Right in their backyard.
yeah. So the coaches are calling in, and you just you have to make your mind up. It's different coaches with different ideas. They talk to you, but basically they try to tie you up for as long as they could. So no one else could call.
That's right.
but Coach Bowden gets on the phones, and he changed his theory of all the coaches that said, "I want you to come and play for me." Bobby Bowden said, "I'll give you a chance to play at West Virginia." I said, "What?" And then, somehow or another, that became a challenge. What do you mean a chance?
That's great.
So it wasn't long, it wasn't long. I signed with the Mountaineers, and once you sign, the word gets out. That's it. That all the calls stop and whatever else, and then you anticipate it. But you hear the Mountaineer marching band, and you hear all the cheering, and you and local, and it's better. I agree right now. It's better to stay in state. I mean, the thousands of players. They'll go a distant location. If you're not first team or second team, you're on the bus going back home. Now, all this transfer portal stuff, you have to be careful. Just because a guy's coming from Alabama does not mean that he was good enough to play for Alabama. And Rich Rod might be feeling that a little bit about right now. He's wondering, wait a minute, this guy transferred South Carolina from the SEC school, but he can't make our team. So you have to be really careful. I know that you get that big name stuff in your head. But those schools make mistakes too. And those kids decide to jump in the transfer portal when they see they're going to be third team or fourth team and can't play. Ohio State today, I was talking to Ohio State fans. I said, I wonder, you all have picked a quarterback over here, but wonder what those other four quarterbacks, you got five quarterbacks, wonder what the other four quarterbacks are thinking right now. Are they thinking about getting a transfer portal? Or are they whatever? And are they good enough to play? Could they play? Ohio State decides that they're not good enough. I mention that a lot because I got to sit over and hear this. You got to hear this OHIO all every day.
That's right.
Yeah, I've always said that too. I think West Virginia fans, and I think all of us are guilty of that. You
Uh,
see, well, we got to transfer from, from USC, man. Hey, he must be pretty good. Well, he's transferring for a reason, and I don't think, in West Virginia's case, I don't think it's tons of money coming his way. So yeah, you have to worry about that a little bit. And I agree with you.
now, now,
What's to tell your other players?
now, let me tell you something. When Bobby Bowden left West Virginia University, I was on my way to Penn State. It's a little known secret. It's something that's some backdoor stuff that happens. There was a recruiter that came down, and Penn State offered the opportunity for me to come to Penn State to play my senior year. Or really, that was a red shirt year. I'd be a senior. I was almost gone. I mean, if the transfer if they had this NIL money back then, I would have been gone. I would have jumped the opportunity. But back then, it was just transferring from school to school. It's something that happens at night, late in the evening. A guy will show up, knock on your door. Are you Dwayne Woods? Yeah, and they'll give you the big spiel of what they're offering, what you may become. and of course they always make a bigger, better story. But that was sort of the beginning. I'm not surprised at this transfer portal, the thing, that idea, because when Bobby Bowden left, I was first team under Bobby Bowden running back, or second team running back. Well, I'm about playing third team under Frank Signetti. I just sitting on the bench. I didn't get to carry the ball, and I kind of regretted not leaving, but I graduated from West Virginia University, and that's good enough. I guess that's the way it goes.
Well, Frank, I don't know what you think, but it sounds like the Mountaineer locker room could have some breaking news here. Maybe we can do some deep dive reporting on this nefarious activity by the Nittany Lions sneaking down at midnight trying to steal one of our players.
No, no,
Maybe
I
get him
don't.
in trouble.
Yeah, that's been about 48 years ago, so I don't think they'll
Maybe
they'll
there's
take it to.
yeah, there might be a statute of limitations on it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Mm.
Frank, you want to
Hey,
jump in here?
That's a great story, Dwayne.
uh,
Interesting thing about your dad wanting you to go to Syracuse. The flip side of that coin is you played up in Syracuse. I think it was was it 73?
in in
I
in
think
in '75 when it was freezing.
75. Yeah, you played in Ben Schwartzwelder's last game as a head coach.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Darren, if you could put up the performance stats, the graphic for Dwayne, the thing that most amazes me about this, all those yards, we know that, and 5 yards a carry, but you had 7 100-yard games, and they were against top quality
Oh yeah.
competition. There, Richmond
Yeah.
in there, but BC, SMU, Tulane, Syracuse, Virginia Tech. I mean, you did. I mean, those were top drawer teams.
All
And
right.
in fact, what we should do here, Darren, if you could put in the video we put together, we can get Mickey's comments too on this. There's no sound on this, Dwayne. I picked one year, so it features the offense. So there's you, Danny Buggs, Artie Owens, Ben Williams in that great Miami game,
Right.
and Andy Peters on defense. Tom Zakowski, we've had both of them on the
Right.
on the
Mhm.
show. But if you could cue up that video, here it is, and just talk us over. I can't remember right now which games are which, and maybe you might be able to help us. But
Actually,
um, that's
actually,
Maryland, I think.
I can't see the video. It's in a little square, and it's about a half inch by a
Oh,
quarter
gee.
inch. But I'll tell
Oh,
you what, in that if in Miami, uh, that was when the Hurricanes was just developing. But they had the
that's
speed, the
right.
talent, and everything. So they were good. I mean, they
Yeah,
were good. We went down there. I got
yeah.
2 touchdowns in that game, 2 quiet touchdowns. And then down at the SMU, we went to that game. There's a tremendous story to that game. It is worth telling on the air. It'd be fascinating if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
If
By the way, we're watching Danny Buggs first, and the
okay,
great. I think the great punt return that's the punt return against Maryland
all
at
right.
the end of the game that won it
Oh yeah,
all. And now we feature you, so there's
yeah.
going to be you running and running and running. There's a pitch around the right end, and great running back.
Oh
But go
yeah.
ahead and tell that story.
Okay, the SMU game, which SMU was ranked number 12 in the country at the time, and we were going down. We were going down as underdogs. That was a game. But on Friday, we had played a game, and I left Morgantown Saturday morning after that game. I go to Bluefield, West Virginia. I go to Bluefield, get there, and my daddy's sick. He's really and he's not doing well. So I decided on Sunday, I'm going to come back to school on Sunday, so I can make morning classes in Morgantown, whatever. And uh, I get down, Daddy's sick. He wanted me to take him to the hospital early Monday morning. I said, no, I have to be in Morgantown. Got to be in school. Got to get to practice. Well, he convinced me. He said, well, you may not see me again live anymore. Well, I'd spend the night down in McDowell County, called Jenkins Jones, West Virginia. I have to go down to McDowell County, which is actually north of Bluefield. So I got to bring him down on Monday to the hospital in Bluefield and get him back. And I'm sitting in McDowell County, coming out of McDowell County. By the time I took care of him, at noon. Now I got to get to Morgantown to go to class, which I know I'm going to make the classes. I'm driving up the turnpike, which was back in those areas they was developing the turnpike from a 2-lane to a 4-lane. I'm caught up by a explosion ahead. They had signs where they were going to blow out one of the mountains, and then we had to sit back in traffic and wait. I'm still trying to get to Morgantown to make practice. I'm telling you one thing. I get up past Charleston going up. You see, there was no Interstate 79. So I'm going up 77 and get pulled over by a state police cop. I explained my situation. The cop says, "Stay behind me," all the way. And he's flying up the road. He said, "As far as I'm going to Parkersburg." So he takes me to Parkersburg and he waves me off. "Go ahead, slow down. Don't get pulled over again. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble." I'm trying to make this game. I can't. I don't make the practice. So I'm not supposed to be in this football game. By the time I get to Morgantown, I go to the towers, the dormitory. The players come in. "Where are you, bud? Coach at all?" Everybody's talking trash, mad because when you travel to Texas, you practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You travel on Thursday, and then on Friday you get out to walk through whatever, and so I missed the practice. Bobby Bowden calls me into the office. Oh man, he jumps upside down on me. I mean to tell you. And then I explained to him. I said, "Coach, I got caught by they're blowing out the mountain, the side of the mountain to make the turnpike a 4-lane road. I got caught this morning." I explained about my dad and whatever else, and he just didn't know what to do. So he said, "Well, I'm not going to let you go to Morgantown. I can't take you to Texas." So I just well, I understand that. To that, so I'll go back to practice on Monday, thinking that on Tuesday, thinking I'm not going to be in this game, all the way up to the last possible second. And he says, "Well, what I did really, we had a Tuesday practice, and I think I kind of turned it up a little bit, rather than just going through the motions, whatever. You just turn it up a little bit more to show." So on Wednesday, he says, "I'm taking you to the game, but you're not getting in the game." Now I'm going. So I just travel with the team. I go down to that. But now, to be honest with you, that extra day's rest kind of helped me out a little bit too. You're beat up by this time, but I think that was about the eighth game of the season, and you really are beat up. You're hurt. The extra day of rest. So that one run that you were just talking about, and that leads off the highlight film of the 1975 team. I'm now so upset because I was actually isolated at the hotel from the rest of the team. They're doing activities, and I'm in my room. He took me down there, but still, I was not supposed to be in that game until Artie Orange tired out at first quarter. They go in, they call my favorite zero trap play, and I'm dancing in the end zone. all, all, all of a sudden, I'm back on the team. And that's what happened. Artie was making great runs, doing a really good job, because Artie was turned out to be a really really good running back. After he grew, Artie was small, and once he got in the weight room and the training table, he beefed up, and he was already fast. So we ended up winning that particular game, and I think. To my mind, to this day, I think that's the game that sent Bobby Bowden to Florida State.
Hmm.
When we go down to beat SMU, a highly ranked team, and there was just an air that there's going to be a change.
Hmm.
Because all of a sudden now, from '74, when he was the staff up in, the fans up in Morgantown had him hanging from a tree. From '74 to '75, everything changed, and I think the same thing's going to happen at the Rich Rod too, because I was at a camp back in this summer. I have a grandson that plays at St. Albans High School, and I've had him up there to for one of their camps, and he kind of questioned that. He wasn't sure about what talent he really had yet. He said he had. He said, I'm looking across the country hunting for good players to bring to Morgantown, and he said, right now I'm not really certain what I have, and that's really because you go get a guy from Alabama or out of state somewhere, you're going on somebody else's word. He hadn't really seen this person play. He don't know how this person's going to practice or how he's going to react, and that's what I think I was watching last week in that game. So that coaching right now, you just don't know what you really have until you actually get out there and they start hitting around. Because some people don't make the whole game. I mean, you good for a quarter, or you good for a half, or you good for how long. So right now, the fans that I hope can just understand. He's in a building process and he's in a guessing routine. He does not know that his freshman's going to last. Or can play or can run. Just because a guy can run a sprint does not mean that he can put that uniform on and bang your head. I mean, just bang. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it makes so much sense. And one of the things we've talked about on the show, Dwayne, is that in the past years we have analyzed other teams getting ready for who we're playing. Let's look at the other Big 12 teams. We don't know exactly what they have, and so in a way it takes some fun out of the off season because I'm one who always used to get the magazines as soon as they went on sale. Take a look at what Kansas State looks like, what's Iowa State have, et cetera, et cetera. And now it's you can't even answer what do we have, let alone the other team. And so it really is you have to wait until they play each other to have a sense of what's going on. And so that's why this game this weekend is so important because this is the first power team we're playing. And if you watch Rich Rod's press conferences recently, he didn't say a lot about Pitt, but what he did say is, you got a great quarterback, a really good running back, a really good top line receiver, and a very fast, aggressive, and agile defense with tall corners who will really push you around. And so we're just going to have to see.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. With people that with people that he's just now studying. He's getting a real good look because now you're playing a live competition.
Yeah. Yeah. Dwayne, it's too bad you couldn't see that film because I slipped in a gift for all of us and it didn't come through very clearly. But at the very end, showed a picture of Lady Gaga's mother.
Oh.
She was a cheerleader, and there she was jumping up and down. And you could actually, with her face, which exactly, that's Lady Gaga's mom.
Yeah. I knew her very well.
Great.
But back then, that was before there was a Lady Gaga.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. There was a lot of friends. I got to mention one friend. I used to become a friend of Bob Raines down in Princeton, West Virginia. I mean, Robert Raines. He was the greatest friend. When you come to Morgantown, the people you become is people in Clarksburg. Jim Thompson out of Clarksburg. I mean, these guys made sure before there was a transfer portal or before there was a they kind of made sure kind of things would work out. Let's just say it that way. If you needed a summer job, which we had to work for our cars, if you needed a summer job or whatever, you could call on the Mountaineer friends around the state, and they would really take care of the players. I mean, and I really specifically remember, as far as I'm concerned, Bob Raines. I did him some favors around the house. I cut his grass, and he'd pay me. So, it's the Mountaineer Peak groups are the friends that you really make. I've recently, somebody asked me for my autograph. I was at a game recently. Somebody asked me for an autograph. It's 50 years ago. I told a guy I scored that touchdown 50 years ago. And the guy said, it don't matter. You were a Mountaineer, and I got to have it.
Dwayne, hopefully that wasn't one of those what's that Kawhi Leonard jobs that he had. He got paid $28 million and never did one thing. They said he's supposed to be a spokesperson. And they said, well, the guy don't even talk. How's he a spokesperson? They gave him $28 million for that. So now they're investigating him. But anyway, and also speaking of your autograph, I do have a friend of the show that watches all the time, and he's watching tonight. I got to get your address after the show He has a Mountaineer collection that's unbelievable, and he has tons of photos and autographs. And he asked me if I could check with you about getting the address. He sends a picture to you, and you can send it back to him if you don't mind to do that after the show's over. Um, and one other thing I wanted to ask, and Frank, I don't mean to butt in and take your time, but you mentioned some of those folks in the videos that played when Dwayne played. Dwayne, talk about your memories about some of these players. I mean, you look at that list, you guys roster, man, what a group of players, and some very familiar names that people I'm sure will recognize. Talk a little bit about the teammates you had.
The teammates, the great teammates, are very good friends. In fact, I was great friends with all of our offensive linemen. You know, Dave and Hallinger. See, now, okay, I'm 72. I forgot a couple. But the entire offensive line actually the offensive and defensive players, we were close back then. Back then we only ate at the university on their dime two meals on Sundays. In the afternoons for the evening meal, there was no meal. So we as a team, would band together and look out for each other. You know, because there's no there was no what they call training table today. That didn't exist. So we could eat in the cafeteria with the students, but they didn't serve student meals on Sunday afternoon. After all up to noon, that was it. You did breakfast, lunch, and that was it. So we kind of looked after for each other. We'd band together and buy pizzas, band together and buy whatever for that Sunday evening. So the friendships were great. I can remember anytime I see any of those players I get up there, we're all going back to immediately telling stories of how things were when there was a place called the Hole in the old stadium where there was some old mattresses laid out there. When you were coming in for any reason before the dormitories or anything staying up, we were sleeping in that area. I slept in an area that you wouldn't dare sleep in today, and it was just like a cave with mattresses. But about the way I can describe it, and that the friendships were there. Are
You
you-
wanna you wanna I know again some of these names that were mentioned, and you mentioned Artie Owens, of course, but Danny Bugs and some of these guys. Uh, just go back and you don't have to talk at length about any of them. Just mention a few of those guys that were on the roster with you that stand out.
Well, you mentioned a few. I wish I had the list down here because when she started calling out names, everybody said, "Hey, what about me?"
Oh yeah, you don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, of course, the quarterback with Dan Kendra and I recently just talked with Haywood Smith in Charleston. Talked with him for a minute, asked him how was he doing. He said, "Well, he worked for Union Carbide for all these years, and he's just retired just here recently, and but he's doing it's just different guys. There was Mark, Bugs, the wide receiver, Meals, and including the uh, gosh." I'm just kind of thinking of the ones that I actually have seen here lately. But I was friends with most just about the whole team. I didn't have I don't think an enemy on the team except one person maybe. But it's always one. It's always some defense. It's always a defensive back that can't stand you because you might have put an extra move on him in practice and knock.
There you go.
All right, well let's. How about
in the Peach Bowl.
yeah?
The Peach Bowl game. They kicked off to me in the Peach Bowl game. I went over and caught the first kickoff and slid right out of bounds. I mean, it was a big rain. It rained all the day before the Peach Bowl and whatever, and it was real muddy on the sidelines. They were trying to kick the ball to me to avoid kicking it to our Artie Owens. So I was just determined I was going to catch that ball and take off. But feet slipped right out of me, slipped right out of bounds on the 4-yard line. Some things that you just can't see get ready to happen. Actually, I should have just let the ball go, and it would have went either through the end zone or out of bounds. But you get so excited about things. But actually, I didn't play much in that bowl game because the yardage that you was accounting for me to have really. Ron Lee was there, who was a big back that was playing a lot. Haywood Smith was playing a lot. Artie Owens was playing a lot. In the backfield, you had to really battle to get the ball. You had to be good, even on that team. Because if what Bobby Bowden would ride with whatever was working. If there was a running back in the game that was having a good day, he's going to stay in there. So, Artie's in there having a good day, then he's in. If I'm in there having a good day, then I'm in. That's just the way his mind thought. But he always believed in having at least two good running backs, two good fullbacks. He had two good at everything, so that like we're facing right now in Morgantown, you got an injury now. Who's playing? Who's the next man up? So, but but I think
Yeah,
everything.
I didn't think that, Frank. I didn't think that when I asked about his memories of the Peach Bowl, it was going to be I slid out of bounds on the 4 yard line and kick off. I wouldn't have brought that up if I'd have known that was going to be the memory.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's yeah, you got to bring up a couple bad things and the whatever.
Hey,
One thing that I'm generally looking at it, I got a scar on my left arm. We're playing Richmond in Morgantown, and player pulled out a razor and cut my arm, and I still have that scar. I have about a 3 inch scar on my arm, which I should have went to the hospital about it, but at that time in that game, I needed to be in the game, so they just got out the gauze pad and got out the tape and just taped it right up.
so a
That's
guy took a razor to you during a game.
Yeah, doing the game.
that's
And
nasty.
I would have handled it differently now, when you're an adult. When I ran to the sideline and told the coach, Coach says, "Oh, okay, we'll put a band-aid on. Let's get back in there."
Well, I guess you could always throw in with it. Yeah, nobody knows this, but I got cut one time. So the double
Yeah,
meaning.
yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness,
Yeah,
that's one.
I have the scar. Anyone ever want to see it, that scar is just as big and long on my arm right here. And today I'd be in court tomorrow trying to bring a lawsuit. But back
Oh,
then that's
oh.
so you're bleeding and just that happened. I mean but there's been basically basically when I went to WVU, there's a big story between I don't know whose high school players are listening or whatever, but coming from Bluefield High School as a big time as a good back going into college, there's a transitional period that you have to get. Everything speeds up so fast from 12th grade to freshman. Even the calls back in the Bluefield High School, everything you would look for long runs. I know in the first good football was playing at West Virginia. You were practicing a little bit in the first couple of practices. I ran a ball for about a 5 yard runs, and the coaches, oh boy, they'll pat you on the back and whatever. And I thought that was the worst thing ever. 5 yards. He said, well, this now if you can get 5 yards every time, you're going to make the team. But back then, 5 yard runs that was a bad run. That was short. That was too short because in the high school you're running the long touchdowns or whatever.
Hmm.
But
Frank, again, I go back to this. You always hear people talk about, well, back in the day, football players a lot tougher and that sort of thing. Hey, I'm convinced now. Today they spit on each other. Back in, they took razors to you. Man, that's pretty serious stuff, man. I
mm,
can't get over
Yeah.
that.
hey,
I was
I'll
gonna.
tell you going. I'll tell you another good one. At the way we call plays at Bluefield High School and to the WVU, it seems similar, but it's so different that it's unreal. Okay, for example, I was okay, assuming that there's a center and going to the left, every hole was 1 3 5 9, 1 3 5 7 9. Going to the right, 2 4 6 8. So I'm the two back. Number two, which is a tailback. It's easy to call plays in high school. They call 22. Okay, Mr. Two back, you're going to the two hole. No problem. You're going right. Okay, Mr. Tailback, 23, you're going to the left. When I get to WVU, it's the same thing. They chalkboard showed the same pattern. I said, "Oh, this is going to be easy." We go out on the field. They called right 23, and everybody went right, but me. I'm, I'm, I'm going left. No, I misquoted that. I didn't mean to say right. They said strong 23. Well, I'm thinking, hell, strong don't mean nothing to me. I'm running I'm running two back to the three hole. That's just simple.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get coach to explain to me, why did everybody else go right and I went left? He said, because you're a dumbass.
Yeah, why did I ask you that wrong?
Oh, hey,
I tell you, Dwayne. I tell
hey,
you.
That's great.
and then
Hey, you want to jump back in here real quick before we have to wrap up?
Yeah. Hey, Mickey, did you have a nice story that you can tell from when you played?
Did I?
Did Mickey, you got it? Was there a nice story from back in the day when you played?
Well, I was listening to Dwayne here on that Sunday evening meal deal. I guess you called this NIL money back in the day. I guess they put a stop to this, Dwayne. But when I played 66 through 69, they gave us $20 a month so you could go get your Sunday evening meal. So you were allotted $5 per Sunday to go buy your own Sunday dinner. And now,
hey, that $5 lasted every bit of 1 hour.
well, I wanted to ask you, you didn't make any trips up to across the state line to Pennsylvania with any of your teammates back when you played, did you?
No, I know all about that. That's where that's where the beer chuggers went. I know what you're referring to. You, you, you could get those 24 ounce or the kegs or whatever up there for half price what you could buy them in Morgantown.
Well, there was a distributor up there, and not only that, it was from what I've heard. I don't have personal experience with this, but from what I've heard, it was 6.3% alcohol content beer in Pennsylvania, where it was 3.2% in West Virginia. Now, I did have a fellow tell me one time you could go up there in Point Marion, right across the state line, and you could buy a 24 can case of what was called Big Cat malt liquor, and it was $4. I think it was $3.95, as I
Uh-huh.
was told, for a case of that.
Uh-huh.
So on Monday at practice, when things got a little hot and heavy, you kind of smelled that Big Cat coming out of the pores of your skin. Guys would go around and say, "What's the matter? You got a big cat on your back today?" Just some of that stuff that happens, behind the scenes. Your team has been one that I've always had a lot of respect for, Dwayne. I mean, you guys. I mean, to lose those two games that you lost, one of them by 2 points, and the Syracuse loss by 1 point. Without those two losses, your team and the '69 Peach Bowl team that I played on would have had identical records. We would have both been 10-1, and you guys suffered those two losses early on in the season, and yet bounced back, as we hope the Mountaineers will. This year will as well. Do you have any recollection of the kind of talks Bobby Bowden would give after those early season losses, or any
Well,
advice that he'd give the team, or you have any recollections of that?
oh yeah, his pregame talks and whatever else. I mean, you would almost think that you were going to run through the wall to get outside to play in his pregame talks. He was very fiery, and he was very religious. He never ever said a cuss word that I ever heard of. Oh well, one time he said "damn," and he said, "Now don't go home and tell your mama, boys, that I said that."
Dad gummit. Dadgummit was his
Oh, yeah,
favorite phrase.
that was his phrase. That was his that gummit was his. You could describe him, but he was really a player's coach. You know, he was very motivational, but he always thought that you could be a little bit better, and he wanted you to just try a little bit harder, and he would push. He would never put you down. He'd always say what you could do a little bit better tomorrow for right now, and he was extreme. He was he was the right coach, and I'm glad I picked West Virginia to play for Bobby Bowden back then. You know, and there was a lot of second guessing in those when you decide on a team, and then other teams say, "Well, you know, if you had came here, you got a chance for this, and you know, we would have done that," and all sorts of things. You hear all kinds of you'd be shocked at the pressure that you're on if you're say a person that a lot of schools wanted. They come up with the right thing. I really swear I believe Bobby Bowden got me to sign with WVU because he said that I'll give you a chance to play.
A chance to play. Yeah, yeah.
Everybody
He
else,
was really good.
uh
He was really good at giving motivational speeches. You know, when I played for him, 66 through 69, he was the offensive coordinator
huh,
and playing on the offensive line. Got to know the guy, pretty well. I've just got so much respect for him.
uh
And of course, the new book's coming out about his years at WVU that John Antonic has written has been released called Almost Heaven.
I
And
I have it right here.
you got that wonderful. Yeah, what a
Yeah,
great tribute
yeah,
to just not only a great coach, but also a great man. Had a huge impact on my life as a
uh-huh,
teenager. I grew up in Mount Hope, not too far from Bluefield.
uh-huh.
So, coming
Yeah,
out of a small town like that, he a huge influence.
all right. I had a great high school coach, John Shamar. He was extraordinarily disciplined. He was, in fact, one time he called a timeout in the game. Told me to come to the sideline. The quarterback's on there. Coach said wants to talk to you on the sideline. I went over there to talk to him. He said, "Pull up your sock." And I went back. What? That's called timeout for that? That's a true story. I mean, he was extreme discipline. In fact, he kicked me off team as a junior for having a whisker. I mean to tell you, that was you got to get up real close in the mirror to see
Yeah,
that little fuzz coming down at the bottom. You know, when you just start, your hair begins to grow. Then he wanted you to be neat and clean and sharp, and everything was by the numbers. I mean, he it was just exactly. But the discipline really showed up in our games also. I mean, everybody did it was right where they're supposed to be, or whatever else. But it's a little different than college because you got so many different personalities and so many different people from different locations, different programs. It's taking these. I mean, it's a nightmare right now for the team up there right now. You can't even name the schools that they came from, locations, cities, and states that they came from. If you look, you put out the book, and Rich Rod hasn't had enough time to be around the players on his team just yet. He hopes that they can last a quarter or four quarters in a game, but he doesn't know that yet. And you know, so I don't want all these naysayers
yeah.
to get all don't get too excited just right now. You know, because I think if somehow or another he can pull off a 500 season, which I hope for, but I look at that schedule, I don't see how, but I don't know, you know, I'm not sure. Uh, because I don't even know who's playing second team. You know, I don't even know who the running back's going to be this week. You know, I don't know if he knows. So um,
Yeah,
it's
Hey, also, I
go ahead,
wanted
Nick.
to bring up you've got your 50-year reunion
all
of
right.
that 75 Peach Bowl team coming up, which is going to be that weekend. They're going to be honoring Coach Bowden
Yeah,
and his
right.
role at West Virginia. You going up for that? You going up for the
Oh
reunion?
yeah, I'm already. Hey, I go to the gym every day so I can be the best looking thing there. Uh,
You're getting ready, huh?
yeah, I've been working on that one.
Well, we hope to be there as well.
Yeah,
We hope to be there as well. As a matter of fact, to your point about so many coaches these days, I think Rich Rod has something like 24 coaches on his staff, and
oh,
not knowing you, not knowing where you're from, where you played high school ball. Again, a
I
tribute to Coach Bowden. At our 50-year reunion, we had a 50-year reunion of our 69 Peach Bowl team in 2019. And Coach Bowden, at the age of 91, came all the way up from Tallahassee, Florida, for our 50-year reunion. And
Wow.
Dwayne, we had a reception on Friday night, and I think without any prompting from anybody, he came into that reception on Friday night. We had about 38, maybe 40 guys show up for that reunion. He not only knew our first and last names of 90% of the players on the field,
Wow.
most of us, he recalled the hometowns that we came
Oh,
from,
yeah.
those of
Yeah.
us that came from West Virginia.
Right.
And you probably don't get that in college football today, I don't believe.
No, I really doubt that because unless you're the star of the team or whatever else, I don't think those coaches can remember even the players on their team right now. It's moving too fast. And I don't know. I really don't know how this NIL thing about all this money is going to work out because I'm sure thinking, what would I have done if they'd offered me $300,000 or $400,000 to play football at West Virginia University? When I come from a family probably that didn't make $1,000 a year, things were real tough. Um, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out because now I was visiting this summer and they said, oh no, that parking lot, oh, that's the players' parking lot. What? What do you mean players? And I walked through that players' parking lot. I'll tell you the average price of those vehicles about
Hmm.
That's amazing. I mean, it might be some spoilage there too. If you're paying RDONs 200,000, giving me 50, well, I'm not going to run as hard as I did, maybe as I should. I figure that maybe I'm only going to play. I'm only good for a quarter. Then at my, you never know how that money's going to really spoil people. I kind of got a parent over here in over here in Buckeye Land whose son wasn't getting what he heard somebody else was getting, and he's approaching the coach to get on the coach. He's going next year. It's going to transfer his kid. So it's all kind of angles to all that money and that's going on right now. That you got to talk about 19 or 20 years old, and you're a millionaire. And I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, it's going. We've talked about that a lot on there. It's going to be things are going to definitely be different. No question about that. Hopefully it gets straightened out to where it's something that we can continue to enjoy. That's what we'll hope. Well,
Yeah.
we're starting to run out of time here, but one thing we like to do before we get off is we look ahead to Saturday's game. And Frank, if you don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and we'll do our keys to the game. And then we'll do our score predictions. And Frank, what order do you want to go in? Since you were the champ last week, you get the honors, kind of like in golf.
Yeah, I guess so. It's one of those things where I won, but there's no satisfaction. Yeah, I was going to tell you something. You brought something up, Dwayne. I was asked for my autograph the other day too, and
Yeah.
I was really it was a subpoena. It was bad, man. So this is my.
I got a certified letter from the IRS. I had to say,
yeah. So this is going to be the Greg and Mickey show from now on because I think they got me dead to rights. Anyway, I won last week, but boy, the Mountaineers lost. So anyway. If you could, Darren, and if you could put up the Pitt graphic I sent you, I can be very, very quick with this because that says everything. I really think the keys of the game is the Mountaineers have to stop these guys. At least 3 of them. Holstein, look at the numbers, 8 touchdowns already. Now, again, they played Duquesne and Central Michigan. Desmond Reed, in fact, he got a shout out from Rich Rod at yesterday's press conference. This Williams kid is a good wide receiver. And then the guys that are on the defense, both Biles and Harrison are really good. So I'm going to be looking at those guys, and I'm really concerned about Holstein because of that 3rd and 30 last year up in Pittsburgh that he converted. He just carved us up. And And so that's basically, I mean, we've got to stop these guys.
Right.
And we've got to get our offense in gear. And the best way to win the game, I think, is long drives because that eats up the clock.
Yep.
Do you want me to give the score now, Greg, or do we want to wait
Yep,
until
go
after?
ahead. Yep, go ahead.
I think if West Virginia wins, it's going to be tight and it's going to be lower scoring. I think the over under is like 52. So I'm going to go with 21-17 Mountaineers.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'll go real quick, and then Mickey will let you go. We'll have Dwayne give his last, if that's all right.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna be Captain Obvious here. The keys to the game, I think, again, it's got to be the offensive line. We've got to get some protection. We got to open our run game up a little bit, and I think our defense is going to be fine. I just think I think our offensive line has got to show vast improvement for us to have a chance. But with that being said, I am blue and gold to the heart, and I'm picking the Mountaineers an upset win 24-21. All right, Mickey the Greek, it's your turn.
Mickey the Greek. All right.
All right.
Well, yeah, I agree with the bullet points that Frank put up there. You know, they got a really strong running game. They got that Desmond Reed, who's an All-American, that running back. They have very experienced offensive line. We have got to maintain ball control and keep their offense off the field, which I think we have a good chance of doing. You know, one chink in their armor, I think, is the fact that they've had two of their really elite linebackers that they've lost that are out for the season. Jeremiah Marcelin and Jaden Bonzu. They're both out for the year. So I think there might be some opportunity there in the middle of the field for some RPO activity. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rich Rod, really gives Scotty Fox an opportunity in this game to show what he can do. But in the final analysis, Dwayne, I'm going with the same score that you had back in 1975. I got the Mountaineers winning 17-14.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Mickey, good job. All right, Dwayne, your turn. You're on the spot. Keys to the game and final score.
Oh, I'm hoping the Mountaineers win. I'm thinking the scores will be high though. If the weather's going to be perfect, and we've already checked that out, so I could drive from Columbus to Morgantown, so it's going to be 84 degrees. I kind of think there's going to be a lot of scoring. Whoever wins this game is going to win at 35-32. It's going.
We don't have a whoever on our board. We got a West Virginia and we got a Pitt. You got to pick one.
Oh, well, well, I can't go against the Mountaineers, but I think I think that because of the way things shaped up here, shaping up, that Pitt might win.
All right. So, well, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Is that a prediction or is that a hedge bet right there? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it's realistic.
He might
Hey,
win. Well,
hey,
might.
hey! There's one other thing. There is a great friend that Buddy Range, which is Bob Range's brother, down in Princeton, West Virginia, is not feeling. He's not doing well, and his wife Judy. I just want to wish him. I just wish him well, and I hope he gets better. It's really important to me. He's great for. We've been great friends. We even developed a business together back in some years ago, back in the 80s and 90s. We had a real estate business together, and he's not doing real well. And I want him. I wanted to say hello to him.
Absolutely. No
Hey,
problem.
and Greg, in that regard, the head trainer from our '69 Peach Bowl team, Phil Calicut, suffered a debilitating stroke
Oh, really?
3 nights ago. 3 nights ago, and he's in the hospital in Jacksonville, Florida. Robert Podbesic, who I played with, flew down there today to be with him and his wife. And there's a number of us that have a group text thing going, trying to remember Phil in our prayers. And I just ask all of you guys in the viewing audience to remember Phil Calicut for a recovery from this stroke in your prayers, if you would, please.
All right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Had Phil
Yeah.
on the show, so yep, remember those guys. All right, fellas, great show tonight. Appreciate all three of you, and Darren, you as well. Dwayne, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Frank, next week we got Dave Preston, I believe, on with us.
Yeah, if you could put the graphic up, we're so pleased to have Dave Preston with us, and I know he's looking forward to the show. And then remember, on the West Virginia channel on YouTube, we've got the, if you could put those up, that would be great, a pregame show and a postgame show coming up this weekend. On the pregame show, we're going to be joined by Freddie Boom Smalls, larger than life player from the 80s. And Mike Fox, we're going to tape him on Friday, and he's going to have a short say on the pregame show. And then Freddie is going to, so that starts at 2 o'clock, goes from 2 to 3. And then the postgame show, as always, again with Freddie, Greg, and myself, we're going to start no later than 30 minutes after the game, probably about what? We figure about 7:30 or so. We'll see. So, yeah, something like that. And then Dwayne's going to join the show pregame and postgame for the Kansas game the following week. So for all the fans out there, this is not the last time you've seen. You're going to see Dwayne Woods recently, and we look forward, Dwayne, and you'll have a lot of fun. Those are great shows to have. We have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. We can tell from the night that that's going to be a hit. That pre and post game is going to be a hit for sure with Dwayne. So with all that being said, we appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you again for watching us here on the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now, the Voice College Football, and the New River Network. Thanks to Darren for all his work behind the scenes. Appreciate Dwayne Woods one more time. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you for tuning in. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you Saturday at 2 o'clock on the pregame show. Big Pitt.